Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the maximum product subarray. We're given an integer array nums and we're going to find a subarray that has the largest product and return that product. So what do you mean by a subarray? So subarrays means continuous, it should be continuous, not like this. Like for example, let's say 2 and 3 is a subarray, but 2 and minus 2, that's not a subarray. 2, 3 minus 2 is a subarray. 3 minus 2, 4 is a subarray. And minus 2, 4 is a subarray. So it should be continuous, right? If you're including 2, and this can be a subarray. So the individuals can be a subarray. 2 is a subarray, 3 is a subarray, minus 2, 4, everything is a subarray. So, yeah, there's things are subarray. Now, we're going to find the largest one. In this case, 2 and 3 is the largest subarray that gives you the product 6. And here, 0 is the 0 is the largest value, so that is the largest product subarray. Okay, and these are the constraints. The numbers length goes from 1 to 2 into 10 power 4, and remember that the elements can be negative, can be also negative, and the product of any subarray of nums is guaranteed to fit in it. So this is very different from the Canton's algorithm, the sum of subarray. It's very different. Okay, we got an example here. Right over here we have a array, and I'm gonna share with you guys what approach can be done here. So the first thing is that you need to have to track two things. You need to track the minimum as well as the maximum product. So whenever you're going for something like maximum, if you're doing for sum, you just track the maximum and you will never do for a minimum. The reason? The reason is that sum is different from product. Remember that. And let me show you why is that in a real quick way. So for example, let's say we got minus 3, okay? Minus 3 and minus 2. Now this will be the minimum value and this will be the maximum value. Okay? Let's say the array number, the array element, let's have a number. You're going to multiply it with this. Let's say we have minus 2 in this case. Okay? Let's say we got here minus 2 and I am multiplying it here, minus 2, and you will get 4 here and you will get 6 here, but the minimum will be completely ignored here and the maximum will be taken. To avoid this, we'll use a swapping method also. So you might be knowing now why we are actually using a separate concept for minimum. Okay? So in this case, the minimum product, the minimum subarray, the minimum subarray can actually become the maximum one. So that's why we are actually doing it. We are tracking something called as minimum. Another concept that you need to know before entering here is when you're multiplying a negative number with another negative number, we get a positive number. And when we're multiplying a negative number with a positive number, we get a negative number. And when we are multiplying a positive with a negative, again we get a negative number. And when we are multiplying positive numbers with positive numbers, we get a positive number. Another thing that you must know, you all know, but just a reminder that, yeah, in when it comes to negative numbers, it is actually reverse of the positive numbers, because here in this case 2 is greater than 1, but in this case -1 is greater than -2. Okay, basically we're going to do this using a min variable, a max variable, and finally a result variable or answer variable, whatever, basically tracking the max value. Okay, and then we will initialize all these three towards the first element in the array. Okay, initialization step is done. Next we will go through a for loop, and the for loop will go through all of the elements. Okay, and it will check if the numbers is actually lesser than 0. That means if there are any negative numbers, if condition will check, and then it will swap the current max and current min value if it does find a negative value, because we already saw that if we have a negative value, if we have a negative value, then of course the current min is going to have the maximum product no matter what. Okay, now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you guys the dry run. So once you see the code, it will be easier for you to actually look onto the dry run. So this is the code, and we are initializing these the three variables with the first element, and then we are starting from the next element till the very last element using a for loop, and we are assigning it to num. Okay, you can also directly use nums of I, or you can just use a variable for it, and num is less than 0, checking if this is a negative value, and we are swapping it using the temporary variable. So we're initializing a temp and current max will get the current min value, and current min value will get the temp value, which has the current max value. So, and then we're actually calculating, this is the logic for calculating the max, min value, and the answer. So we are calculating if the number is greater than, multiplying it with the current max value, that is the subarray, and the current min value, we're actually calculating it num, and current min into num. Okay, so this is going to be the answer. Answer will be the maximum, the current max. Okay, and return the answer. And the min value is especially for negative numbers, remember that. Okay, so now let's quickly dry run this once you saw the code. So the code is for eliminating the numbers if they do not belong to that subarray. So in this case, we got here. So first, let's enter into the for loop, and we're gonna have the current max value. We will calculate the current max value. So the first element is going to be 3, comma, we will have the num value. The num value is 3, and then we will be multiplying the current max value 3 into 2. Okay, so now the current max value is going to be 6. 3 into 2 is 6. 6 is the max value, and the current min value the minimum value is going to be 3 comma 3 into 2. The mean value is going to be 3. Okay, now in the result array, there we kept it as a answer. So the result value is going to be 2, because this is what we initialize it with, the first element. The first element is 2. And we are going to check out the current max, 6. So right now, the answer is going to be 6. And currently, the subarray is going to be 2, 3. This is going to be the current subarray. Now we're going to try including -2 here, and we're going to check whether this can be a good subarray or not. Okay, so what do we do here? We calculated the current max already. That means we will be multiplying this -2 with the existing answer. So that is what we're going to do on our next step. So in the next step, our max value, we're going to calculate using the current element, that is -2, we're going to have 3 into -2. Okay, so in this case, why it is 3? Why it became 3? Because this is a negative number, and remember what I told you already. If it is a negative number, we swap. Okay, in this case, if your number, whatever number you acknowledge, and if it's a negative number, we swap, because when multiplying with a negative number, that will become the maximum no matter what. Okay, so in this case, it's like that. So your current mean is 3 and your max is 6. You will swap it. Okay, now you compare. -2 is greater or -6 is greater? Of course, -2. Now let's calculate the minimum value. The minimum value will now have the value of your current max. Okay, so this is the main point. We are actually tracking minimum values. So the current so you will have the current element -2 and the maximum value which we swapped, and you can see the minimum value is -12. Okay, now you calculate the final result. You check if your current max value is actually greater than your previous value, which is 6, and still the answer is going to be 6. In next step, we're going to see the next step, the next number. So the next number is 4. In this case, we do not swap because it is a positive number, and we directly enter into the max and check the values. So here, the max value, we will check with the original number 4 and the previously calculated one. Now you can notice that the result is still containing the subarray of 2, 3. So that is the still subarray's answer that is holding on to. Now let's go to max value. 4, 4 into -2. Okay, so when you do this, you know that of course 4 is gonna stay. Okay, now in the minimum value, -12 is there. So in here, 4 comma minus 12 into 4, and this is going to be the minimum value, which is minus 48. Okay, now the result value is still going to be 6. The reason is that 4 is not greater than 6. Now let's go to another example. Now let's go to the next number, which is minus 1 in this case. Now this is a negative number, so we are going to swap here. Okay, so minus 48 is going to go to current max value. This is the max value, and this is your minimum value. Okay, so this 40 minus 48 is going to be taken by the current max value, and 4 is going to be taken by the minimum value. Okay, and the maximum value is here. Okay, so now we are going to calculate the maximum value and the minimum value, and you will see for your eyes that the importance of the calculating the minimum value. Okay, so the current max is going to have, this is the current maximum value, it's going to hold minus 1, the current element, and then we're going to multiply that number with the current max we have. What is the current max? It is minus 48. Okay, now what will be the answer? 48. Okay, and we're going to calculate the minimum value now, and the minimum value is going to be the same. We're going to have the minus 1 value, and we're going to have this one, the maximum value that we already got, 4. Okay, 4 into minus 1, and here we calculate the minimum value minus 4, and you can see that in the answer, 6 and 48, 6 and 48. When we take the max for these, okay, when we take the max for these two, we get 48. You see that? 48. So what does this mean? The entire subarray is actually producing the greatest maximum product. So 2, 3, minus 2, 4, and 1. You can try run this for yourself to have a cleaner look, and I'll show you the code once again. This is the code. Okay, but this is not the array. Actually, we had a different array. For this array, these two are the maximum product. For this array is different. 2, 3, minus 2, 4, and 1. 2, 3, minus 2, 4, and we include minus 1. You can see that the maximum product is 48.